Imagine reading through a long list of names in the Bible. One person is born, lives for hundreds of years, has children, and then dies. The pattern repeats again and again. Lived, had sons and daughters, then died. Lived, had sons and daughters, then died. It almost feels like a drumbeat moving through history, and then suddenly the pattern breaks. You come across a man named Enoch. The Bible tells us that Enoch lived 65 years and became the father of Methuselah. After that, it says something unusual. Enoch walked with God. Not for a few days or a few months, but for 300 years. Then comes one of the strangest sentences in all of Scripture. Enoch walked with God, then he was no more because God took him away. That's it. No description of an illness, no mention of old age. No burial place, no tomb, no final words. Just a mysterious statement that God took him. For a figure whose story raises so many questions, Enoch actually receives very little space in the book of Genesis. You can read every verse about him in less than a minute. Yet for thousands of years, people have been fascinated by what happened to him. Think about it for a moment. The genealogy surrounding Enoch follows the same formula over and over. Every person dies. Adam dies, Seth dies, Enosh dies, Kenan dies, Mahalalel dies, Jared dies. But when Enoch's name appears, death isn't mentioned at all. It's almost as if the writer wants you to stop and notice. Who was this man? The Bible doesn't tell us much about his daily life. We don't know what his voice sounded like. We don't know what kind of house he lived in or what he looked like. What we do know is contained in a simple phrase: he walked with God. In the language of the Bible, walking with God means more than believing God exists. It describes a close relationship, a life lived in step with him, day after day, year after year. What's remarkable is the time period in which Enoch lived. According to Genesis, he lived before the great flood of Noah's day. The world was becoming increasingly corrupt. Violence and wickedness were spreading. Yet in the middle of that generation, Enoch stood out. Centuries later, another part of the Bible gives us a little more insight. The New Testament book of Hebrews includes Enoch in a list of people remembered for their faith. It says that by faith Enoch was taken from this life so that he did not experience death. That statement has sparked countless discussions. Did Enoch simply disappear? Was he taken directly into God's presence? What did that moment look like? The Bible doesn't provide detailed answers. And maybe that's part of why the story continues to capture people's imagination. There is something deeply mysterious about a man who enters history briefly and then leaves without passing through death the way everyone else does. Over time, stories and traditions about Enoch grew far beyond the few verses found in Genesis. Ancient writings expanded his story dramatically, describing heavenly journeys and visions of divine mysteries. Some of these writings became well known in certain communities, though they were not included in most versions of the Bible. But even without those later traditions, the biblical account remains extraordinary. A man walks with God for 3 centuries, then one day he's gone. No grave, no funeral, no record of mourning. Just a quiet statement that has echoed across thousands of years. God took him. And the more you think about it, the stranger it becomes. Because Enoch's story isn't really about how long he lived. Many people in Genesis lived longer. It isn't about power, wealth, or military victories either. None of those things are mentioned. Instead, the thing that makes Enoch unforgettable is a relationship. 4 simple words: he walked with God.